This is a daily Forex report for June 22nd. We are looking at the US Japanese yen pair first. This pair did create an inside bar. Look for the breakout. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 91.57, possibly as low as 89.78. Look for some resistance around 90.85 and look for some support around 90.15. This pair did close lower but stayed within the trend, overall moving sideways. Now the Euro USD pair, this pair moved lower, overall moving long-term, moving sideways, definitely has a downward bias also, at least very, very long-term downward bias. Short-term, somewhat sideways. Looking for this pair to move to 124.19 if we get a pullback, possibly moving down to 121.61. Look for some resistance around 123.60 and look for some support around 122.25. Now, looking at the pound US dollar pair, this particular pair closed higher during this last session. Overall, long-term bias is slightly upwards. Looking for this pair to potentially go as high as 149.34, possibly as low as 145.80. Look for some resistance around 148.86 and look for some support around 146.75. Now, looking at the US Swiss, this pair also created an inside bar. It's moving sideways over the past couple of sessions. Definitely has a downward bias. Look for this particular pair to go as high as 111.89, possibly as low as 109.80. Look for some resistance around 111.50 and look for some support around 110.32. Now, as far as news announcements goes, we have the Bank of England minutes being released at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. No real consensus on that. It's just the minutes. And we have the U.S. FOMC announcement, rate decision for June at 2:15 p.m. Consensus on that is that they're going to hold rates at 0.25%. Look, if the U.S. doesn't move rates, if it comes out as expected, of course, it will have little impact on the market. And the market between now and then will move sideways to a large degree. So a good time for a counter trend strategy. Look for the New Zealand dollar to release their gross domestic product at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Consensus on that is that first quarter's numbers have dropped from 0.8% to 0.5%, and the year to date it's showing an increase though from 0.4% to 1.8%, which of course would be good news for the New Zealand dollar. Well, as far as what I'm looking at, I have one of my favorite setups that there is. We have the US Swiss has created an inside bar. We have a strong move to the downside. We have basically a window here of opportunity where the market can break through to the upside and basically move back up to this area of support, which would now be resistance. So look for this move to occur. It's over a 100 pip move. You can look for it. Now, obviously, the trend has been down over the past couple of sessions, so a pullback of this magnitude would be fairly significant, but this is what we're looking for. Now, to the downside, if it does break to the downside from this inside bar, you can look here for previous, an area of previous support and resistance as far as where it should potentially move to, and that's going to be right here. We have resistance that became support, and I do believe we'll see it turn into support again. If we get a break to the downside, we'll get a run of about 80 pips there or so, 70 pips or so to the downside. So either way this pair moves, you should be able to pull some pips out of it. Now, the Japanese yen also created an inside bar during this last session. Let's take a look at it real quick. I do believe we can look for it to move to the downside or the upside and be able to grab at least 40 or so pips to the upside. The first area of opportunity for it to hit some resistance is about 30 pips up. We have some resistance. Over here it was support, support, but you can see that those 30 pips should be obtainable if we buy and then exit. To the downside, a similar situation, we have previous support, which should turn into support again if it moves to the downside. This particular example, we've got about a 40 pip move. So 30 to the upside, 40 to the downside. Either way, the US Japanese yen pair or the US Swiss moves, you should be able to take a profit. Well, that about does it for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.